Across the world, in air bases and flight schools, it's not uncommon to see a curious sight: military pilots often dressed in combat flight suits climbing into small, sleek civilian aircraft instead of the roaring fighter jets we usually associate them with. At first glance, it might seem odd that someone trained to fly advanced machines like the F-35 or the Eurofighter Typhoon would spend time in a Cessna, a Beechcraft, or even a modified business jet. But there's a deep logic behind it. Military pilots train with civilian aircraft, not just for cost savings, but for a wide range of technical, tactical, and developmental reasons that strengthen their skill, judgment, and adaptability in the air. The process of becoming a military pilot starts with mastering the fundamentals of flight, and civilian aircraft are the perfect starting point. Before anyone steps into a supersonic jet, they must understand how to control lift, balance, and thrust in a stable and manageable environment. Aircraft like the Cessna 172, Piper Pa 28, or Diamond DA-40 are designed to be forgiving, predictable, and ideal for learning. These planes fly at slower speeds, react smoothly to inputs, and let students focus on the basics: how to handle the controls, read instruments, navigate by sights and instruments, and make sound decisions under pressure. The goal at this stage isn't to test aggression or combat skill, but to build a pilot's confidence, coordination, and respect for the principles of flight. Cost plays a significant role to operating a modern fighter jet. Costs anywhere between $20,000 and $100,000 per hour when you factor in fuel, maintenance, and logistics. By contrast, flying a small civilian aircraft might cost only a few $100s per hour. Using these light airplanes allows student pilots to build flight hours and experience without draining the defense budget. Every hour spent learning to control altitude, approach, and navigation in a cost-efficient platform translates directly into better performance later in more complex military aircraft. This efficiency also extends the life of combat jets, keeping them available for advanced training and real missions instead of routine skill development. Beyond initial flight training, civilian aircraft are also used for intermediate and specialized programs. Many militaries around the world use turboprop trainers or small jets that are civilian in design but modified for military use. Planes like the Beechcraft, T-6 Texan II, or Pilatus PC-21 are examples of this hybrid approach. They are built on civilian engineering principles, but equipped with military avionics, allowing students to transition smoothly from basic propeller-driven aircraft to fast jets. The cockpit layouts of these trainers often mimic those of operational fighters, giving future pilots a familiar environment long before they touch the throttle of a supersonic jet. Civilian aircraft are also used in advanced training scenarios beyond the classroom. In large-scale military exercises, civilian contractors operate modified jets and turboprops to act as enemy aircraft or red air opponents. These aircraft, such as Learjets or Alpha jets, are equipped with radar reflectors, jamming pods, and even simulated weapon systems to create realistic combat environments. By using civilian-operated adversaries, air forces can challenge their own pilots in dynamic scenarios without committing valuable frontline assets. The pilots flying these civilian jets are often retired military aviators, providing realistic and unpredictable training that sharpens the reflexes and decision-making of active-duty personnel. Another area where civilian aircraft excel is in proficiency training. Once pilots are fully qualified, they still need to maintain a certain number of flight hours to stay sharp. Flying large military jets for routine practice can be impractical and expensive. Instead, many air forces use small civilian aircraft for instrument training, navigation refreshers, and formation practice. This helps pilots retain their skills in a less demanding environment while saving resources. For example, practicing takeoffs, landings, and emergency procedures in a Beechcraft or Diamond aircraft can effectively simulate many of the same principles without the complexity or cost of a jet. Performance characteristics of civilian aircraft also contribute to their usefulness. Their slower speeds and simpler handling allow pilots to perfect precision flying techniques. Tasks such as maintaining formation, flying through turbulence, or performing coordinated turns are easier to observe and correct in slower aircraft. These planes also have longer endurance, allowing for extended sessions in the air, giving instructors more time to correct mistakes and reinforce lessons. Design plays a major role in why civilian aircraft are ideal for training. Civilian designs prioritize stability, visibility, and control harmony. The aerodynamic layouts are optimized for balance rather than combat agility, making them excellent for teaching students how to manage flight energy and situational awareness. The cockpits of many training aircraft include dual controls, allowing instructors to immediately take over if a student makes an error. Some even feature glass cockpit systems with digital displays similar to those found in modern fighters, ensuring students become familiar with advanced avionics early in their training journey. For advanced to support operations, many militaries also adapt civilian aircraft for specialized missions. Planes like the Beechcraft, King Air, or Gulfstream business jets are converted into reconnaissance or communications platforms. These aircraft retain the reliability and comfort of their civilian designs, but are fitted with military-grade sensors, radar systems, and communication suites. Because they are built on proven civilian air, they require less maintenance and can operate quietly and efficiently. For extended durations ideal for training pilots in surveillance, coordination, or transport operations. In joint exercises, civilian aircraft also play an important logistical role. They can be used to ferry personnel, simulate civilian air traffic, or serve as observation platforms for instructors and mission planners. This integration creates realistic airspace scenarios where pilots must communicate with both military and civilian traffic control systems. Such experience is crucial since modern military pilots often operate in shared or congested airspace, especially during humanitarian missions, search and rescue operations, or peacekeeping deployments. Another unique advantage of using civilian aircraft in training is the psychological aspect. Military jets can be intimidating, fast, and unforgiving. Pilots transitioning too quickly into high-performance aircraft might feel overwhelmed by the workload and speed. Civilian planes provide a gentler learning curve, allowing trainees to develop composure, patience, and precision before facing high-G maneuvers in combat scenarios. They also allow for easier recovery from mistakes, which is critical in the early stages of developing pilot discipline and confidence. Modern civilian aircraft also incorporate advanced technology that mirrors what pilots will see later in their military careers. Features like autopilot systems, weather radar, digital navigation, and fly-by-wire controls are now standard in many training aircraft. Learning how to interpret and manage these systems prepares pilots for the complexity of modern combat jets, which are as much about managing data and systems as they are about flying. The transition from a glass cockpit in a diamond. DA 62-1 in an F-35 becomes far less daunting when the pilot already understands how to integrate digital information into this. Civilian aircraft also provide opportunities for collaborative training between military and civilian aviation sectors. Instructors with civilian experience bring different teaching perspectives, focusing more on communication, safety management, and efficiency. Military training emphasizes precision and tactical discipline, while civilian training focuses on decision-making under everyday airspace conditions. Combining both creates pilots who are not only tactically skilled, but also adaptable and safe. Another critical benefit is that flying civilian aircraft exposes military pilots to the wider aviation system. They learn how to operate within civilian air traffic environments, communicate effectively with non-military controllers, and follow international aviation procedures. This knowledge becomes invaluable when military operations overlap with commercial air routes or humanitarian missions where coordination with civil authorities is required. From a strategic standpoint, using civilian aircraft enhances readiness and flexibility. Civilian platforms can be deployed easily, maintained using local facilities, and operated in countries where deploying high-end jets would be impractical or politically sensitive. They allow for discrete operations and training programs that maintain pilot proficiency without attracting unnecessary attention. Even after becoming fully operational, many fighter and transport pilots continue to log hours in civilian aircraft for practice and relaxation. Flying simpler planes reminds them of the core joy and fundamentals of flight maintaining control. Reading the sky and mastering the art of precision. It keeps their instincts sharp, their reactions refined, and their connection to flying pure. When we see military pilots training in civilian aircraft, it's not a step down from the world of advanced jets. It's the foundation that keeps them sharp, efficient, and capable. Civilian aircraft offer affordability, safety, endurance, and adaptability that no other platforms can match. They bridge the gap between learning and mastery, ensuring that by the time a pilot climbs into a combat jet, every movement, every decision, and every reaction is guided by a deep, instinctive understanding of what flight truly is.